Hello everybody, I'd like to welcome you all to the first official BuggyCon review, where we shall review games, movies, TV shows, comics, everything under the comic book flag. Today, we shall start off this series with a movie that I believe has not been properly criticized by the critics, Venom, starring Tom Hardy. Now, are there mistakes with this film? Well, yes, there are a few. Does this movie do well? I'd like to say it does for me. Why? Well, we shall get into those reasons that I will bore you all with. So let's sit back, everybody, get yourself a drink, and let's get right down to business. We shall start this off with comic book faithfulness. It isn't accurate to the original source material. Now, for me, Venom is not a character I would say I am immensely familiar with. I will admit that there are plenty of things that I don't know, but I do know at least enough to get by. Now, I have been reading quite a few of Venom's recent comics, so to get some basic idea of what I believe who Venom is and how he operates, how he does it, why he does the things that he does, the bond between him and the symbiote, the banter between the back and forth. Does this movie portray that in an accurate light? I'd like to say yes, it does. Not in the most like ripped off the page style. Not like Watchmen, where Zack Snyder basically ripped off a page from the comic and just recreated it. No, but it does it pretty well for what I would say. You know, I'd say one of the biggest highlights of this movie was the back and forth between Tom Hardy, since he does voice the symbiote. The back and forth between Eddie and the symbiote is just perfect. It makes me think of all the times that I was reading those comics and I'd be imagining what Venom's voice would sound like. Now, this wasn't what I ever would imagine it sounded like, but this does give me an idea to think of whenever I do pick up another comic again. Among other things in this, like Venom's abilities in the movie, are they accurate to the source material? I like to say yes. Now, Spider-Man 3, they tried to tap into it, but in all honesty, it was really toned down. When you go and get like a new comic of Venom, or even just an old one, and you see all these crazy things that Venom can do, that it's just, he's not just some evil version of Spider-Man with the same powers. No, he's got like a multitude of all sorts of different powers, and in this movie they do tap into it, not 100% fully, but they do tap into it in a big way, and it does show off, you know, even the transformations and all of that, like the way that the first transformation happens in the trailer that you see, when the teeth form out and close up, you know, all these like strange, grotesque kind of looking transformations that he has, those are very reminiscent of the comics themselves. And all these other abilities that he does, and you see, it's all cool. It's like all the tendrils and everything. Even the way that when Venom starts talking to Eddie, you know, it's all reminiscent of a couple of different comic book pages, you know. I won't get into big details there because I can't remember off the top of my head, but they are like that a lot, and it is really cool. I thought it was great. It was just a great nod, and while the movie didn't completely delve into it, I think that's just because this whole weird spin-off thing, like some of Venom's abilities kind of have to be a bit toned off, specifically the ones that are like a direct copy from Spider-Man, because Venom does shoot webs. I don't remember how he does it, whether it's a part of the symbiote he shoots out, or the symbiote was able to manufacture webbing of its own. I'm not 100% sure on that, so I'm not going to get into that too much. But I'd say they did pretty well with the abilities that they could use. And let's see, what else did they have? I mean, oh boy. Yeah, it was just an intense one. Like, even like these scenes when Eddie would get all bashed up or broken, and the way that the symbiote would heal him, it's all just very horror movie-esque. And I think that was something I think they were thinking of, like kind of like an old classic monster movie like The Werewolf or Frankenstein, something kind of like along that. You know, you have your monster movie that does all these different things, yada yada yada. It was pretty good. Another thing that we're going to be talking about is the characters and their chemistry with one another. I think I'll start off with the biggest duo of the movie, which is Eddie and the symbiote itself. I'd say that these two were the strongest characters of the movie, and I feel like this is perfect, especially as they are the two leads of this movie. They are the ones that carry this story forward. They make the story perfect, and a lot of these scenes that they have together, that when Eddie is talking with the symbiote, you know, it just works. And I love that how Tom Hardy, a lot of these scenes he's had, a couple of them are improvised. These scenes when Eddie just starts losing his shit, and you know, he's like acting all maniac and crazy and everything, you know, and everyone's just freaking out over it. It's just perfect because he can play off this total maniac look, all the crazy, weird, quirky stuff that happens. He did an immense job. And the fact that he voices the symbiote works because he can play off of himself, and it definitely showed in a lot of these scenes. You know, the banter and the exchanges, sort of like a kind of a dysfunctional buddy cop movie. Not quite exactly as the comics, but it's a great dynamic to have, and it's definitely a great stepping point. And I do like it that they kind of working together, and they kind of both improve the other one a bit. They kind of show each other some of the things that they are kind of lacking. I won't get too deep into it because I don't want to spoil anything for anybody that has not seen this movie yet, but I believe you'll probably understand it if you have seen this movie. Other characters like Anne Wayne, now I felt that her character was pretty solid, maybe a little bit typecasted as, you know, the romantic interest type. Now I'm glad that they didn't go the stereotypical route, because Sony's thing with like the female characters in the Spider-Verse has been kind of a hit or miss. You know, Mary Jane was always the damsel in distress, and then when they had the Amazing Spider-Man, when they introduced Gwen Stacy, they had her a little bit more of a take charge and action-y type. You know, so there's been some ups and downs with it. Now, Anne Wayne, I thought she did alright with what she had. She had some good moments, some good lines. I did believe the chemistry and the romantic attachment that she has with Eddie, and I did like that she had some roles to play, whatnot. That she wasn't just there to be there, you know, like window dressing or whatnot. She has some importance. She does help along in parts of the movie. So that's a good thing, at least. That she was not just there because she's a pretty face, just to hold up on for the audiences. Let's see, who else? Okay, the main villain, Carlton Drake, or Riot. Now, I would say he was not the worst villain, but not the best. I'd say he's like a less toned down Lex Luthor from Dawn of Justice, but not in the crazy manic way that Jesse Eisenberg played with that character. What's this guy's name? Riz Ahmed, I think. I could be wrong. You'll probably tell me anyways. But I thought he did. I think he did. He did the best with what he could. Like, he did what he could do with the script that he had. You know, the character is not. He's not mustache twirling, evil. You know, like maniacally laughing in the corner. You know, but he's got like an idea. He sees that he wants to help out humanity, but his way of going about it is incredibly flawed, and he's got this sort of big narcissistic look to him that anyone that challenges his way of thinking, his solution to the problem, is completely in the wrong, and that anyone that disobeys has to either fall in line or be removed from the equation entirely. Now, ideally, I would have preferred a slightly better character, but I think that with what we got, it wasn't too bad. You know, it's not like so much to the point where you're eye rolling all the time this guy says something. He has some moments, and you know, he's not a typecast villain. You know, not something like, oh, he's the bad guy, yada yada yada. Oh, he's got the same powers as Venom all of a sudden because we need to have that match thing going on at the end fight, all that. You know, no. He did okay with what he had. He's definitely not the worst villain, I would say. Definitely not the worst. As for other characters, there's been some minor characters, none that really bring up anything worth mentioning to a high degree. I'd say the best that the movie has was with Eddie and Venom, and Wang was pretty good in of herself. Same thing goes with Carlton Drake. Like, they were alright. Not the greatest, but not the worst. They were pretty in that, like, good middle ground area, I believe. And while some improvements could have been made in those two characters, I felt that they were good for what they were. Our next topic will be action. Now, this movie has, it's not jam-packed with action. There's a few scenes here and there, but I think with the scenes that they do use, they do make it work. And it works because it's not just senseless fighting. I think in some of the first ones, they do start telling a bit of a story. They start kind of showing it off. They do it in a way that perfectly starts giving you an idea of, let's say the first few scenes, they start giving you an idea of what Venom's capabilities are. They start giving you an idea of the characters' heads. Where are they at in this particular scene? You know, and I think one of the first scenes, it does showcase off kind of Eddie's realization that something's different. You do see parts of it in the trailer when he's running off in the middle of a forest being chased by different people. This does show off like some of the abilities that the symbiote is granting him, kind of showing off slightly to a degree. You know, that some of these scenes, they start telling a story. It's not just mindless action. And I'd say one of the best ones I've seen was kind of like, I'd say it'd be the second to last fight scene in the movie, and this one's a bigger scale. You know, I think this one they really did showcase like the true full extent of Venom's capabilities, and kind of like that fear, like, this is not just some hero. He's not a superhero in the proper sense, you know. They are trying to go with this anti-heroic route, the lethal protector arc from the comics, and they're trying to show you that, look, he may hurt bad people, but that doesn't mean you should walk up to him and ask for the guy's autograph. It's like the Punisher. He may go after bad people, but it's in the way that he does it is not something that everyone would be happy with. It's something that everyone would kind of frown upon to a degree. And I felt that this scene was pretty good. It kind of it aided in that monster movie feel that these guys were trying to go for. And I believe that worked out well. The end fight, I believe it did pretty well. It was actually creative, and it subverted some kind of expectations in it. I'm not going to get into detail there too much because spoilers. But like I said, subverted some expectations, kind of played around with some of the cliches that you would get in a final boss battle, I would say. And I'd say they did pretty well. It was a nice little creative thing. Very, very reminiscent of the comics themselves. Some of the scenes, some of the images, you could just almost hold them up to a page of a comic book and almost see an exact copy itself, which is cool. It's always nice to have a nice little homemade comic recreation in the movies, you know, always a good thing to have. And I'd say that with the ones they did pretty well for them. Now the story. Did the story hold up? I'd say the overall general plot to this story is something I think everybody can kind of get behind. The casual fans that are not 100% knowledgeable of Venom's backstory, or even just only heard of him briefly through Spider-Man, they can understand the story and see where it's going. The comic fans, we have a slightly better idea of what's happening, and we can understand it a little more better. It helps to our favor. It's like, if you're a non-comic fan, it's not going to hurt you that much. It's like an extra spicing, you know. It's like if you add whipped cream to hot chocolate. It's like you're not going to miss anything. It just adds a little extra flavor to it, you know. Kind of like the MCU. It's like you don't really need to see this movie to understand that one, but if you did, it kind of gives you a nice small little reward in your brain, and you get to feel a little happy about it. That's sort of the same thing that went on in this movie. The fact that this did go on. Pretty simple plot line, I'd say. You kind of understand what's going on in it. Now, some bits maybe a little off, the pacing a little bit different, a little iffy, but for me personally, I could live with it, you know. Sure, some character motivations may seem rushed at times, perhaps that, you know, some strange character shifts and like the pacing of the film would just be slow or be too quick. Yes, it's a little disorienting at times, but I think it's just only if you really look too deep into it. If you just kind of go in it with no huge expectations, you will come out of this movie moderately pleased at the very least. And I did not have many expectations for this movie at all. I knew going into this that it would be far better than the incarnation that we got in Spider-Man 3, and I knew that this movie would do far better than Fan 4 Stick. I knew what all the critics would say, yet I came in and I enjoyed myself with this movie. Alright, I believe this is a time to talk about the end credit scene. Now, for all of you who have not seen this movie yet, I would strongly advise that you mute this recording until the little button or icon or whatever the heck I got up on there is over. An official spoiler warning, smack dab on your face. Sound the alarm, gentlemen! Now, at the final end credit scene, because the other one is a Spider-Verse thing, so no connection to the original movie at all, so no problems there. We encounter Eddie going into this prison because the FBI contacted him because Cletus Cassidy wanted to talk to him for some reason, because of the bodies, blah blah blah, something like that. We get in there and we see Woody Harrelson betraying Cletus Cassidy, which was something that a lot of people were kind of thinking that was going to be the case. Then, you know, that it was. So we go in there and we see Cletus just getting some blood ready, you know, drawing in a welcome Eddie, yada 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 thing. You know, very serial killer vibe. And he's got the red hair, you know, a little weird, yes, a little kind of goofy in live action when you think about it. In the comics, it's not so bad because there has been some weird ones, but that hair, not quite the greatest translation from comic to live action. So I think if they ever do an actual sequel with Carnage, I think they really need to tweak out the hair a bit, or at least just do it where it's not so obscene. Like it straight up looks like a plain old wig. It looks like he is trying to cosplay as the Red Queen from the Alice in Wonderland movies. Like, it really looks like that. It just does not fit that particular look. It's a little hard to kind of get over with. But then he has this like cheesy line where he goes, "When I get out, there's gonna be carnage," and it's just like I love the idea that they were teasing off Carnage and everything. Although execution-wise, it could have done better. Like, it does feel a little bit off, considering. I would love to see Carnage, and I would like to see Woody Harrelson, you know, do a little bit more, because I feel like he wasn't given a whole lot to work with, especially since it's an end credit scene. There's only going to be like so much time that you can do with this character. So I feel like in a potential sequel, he could do a whole lot better than what he was given. Is it the worst? No, but it was nice to know that they are considering Carnage, although a little ham-fisted it was. Kind of like the Amazing Spider-Man 2 when they were trying to tease off the Sinister Six and everything. And I really wish we could erase that horrible movie from our memories forever, Total Men in Black style. But it was alright for the most part, and I don't know, depending on what they would try to do for the sequel, hey, at least it's something. We have Carnage. I mean, not in a symbiotic form, but at least we have an actual live-action variation of Cletus Cassidy to a degree. Hopefully. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Well, I believe that is all I can say about this movie. Now, Venom. It was a great film overall. Loved the chemistry between Eddie and the symbiote. The story was great. It was easy to follow. Pacing could have been a little bit better to some points, but overall, great. The other characters, some improvements could have been made, but I believe that the actors did pretty well with what they had, so I can't fault them for that. They did what they could, and they did pretty well at it. The action, it was great. There were such immense scenes, a lot of like holy crap moments in there. It was just real fun. Some of the scenes telling a story and everything. The overall story, easy to follow to a degree. Some of the comedic aspects of the movie were there. You laughed when they wanted you to laugh, and nothing was, in some lines, sure, could be a bit off, but they were all pretty good in their own right. Overall, I feel like this movie was pretty good, and I feel like it has been misjudged by a lot of these critics. who are probably eating their words now, since all these new little record-breaking things I keep seeing about Venom these days. Well, talk about some karma right there, guys. Everyone assuming that this movie was gonna tank. Now, is this the greatest movie in the world? Well, not the greatest. Is it the worst movie in the world? Oh God, no. We're not even close to that. I would say, in my official BuggyCon review verdict, this is I would say this is an 8 out of 10. I say this because the movie is pretty great. It's a good movie to watch. Walk in there, enjoy yourself, have a great time. I'd say it's only an 8 because of some bits and pieces. Like some of the stories a little bit off sometimes. Sometimes the characters aren't like ideally what you would want them to be. I'd say that's the only like gripe that I would have with it. So my official verdict is an 8 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching. I hope I didn't bore you all too much, and I hope that you guys will come back again for another video, especially even ones filled with spoilers, depending on how that's gonna go. But I'm glad you all got to spend this time with me, listening to me drone on and on and on. Thank you all. I hope you all have a great day, good night, or whatever time it is when you're watching it. Thank you all.